Welcome to another episode of the brand called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished marketing and technology entrepreneur from Singapore, Mr. Terence Mak. Terence, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be on the show.
Thank you. Terence is the Chief Executive Officer of IsWhere.com, which is the location marketing platform helping to connect businesses to consumers. So, Terence, before we start talking about IsWhere, a few questions for you. Please tell me your own journey and what led you to entrepreneurship.
My journey started actually I started actually being very interested in programming. That was when I was 16 years old, got my first Apple II computer. No,
Hmm.
actually, my first computer was a Sinclair
Hmm.
Z80.
Hmm.
And it progressed to an Apple II and move on to an IBM.
Yeah.
And I computerized my school library using the IBM and everything else. That got me interested. After that, I went to Oxford, got my degree in computer science, started developing softwares. At 29 years old, I was running Asia Pacific sales for most multinationals.
Wow.
Yeah, but at that time, it was like everybody was like, "Whoa, hey, you made it!" 29 years old, Asia Pac. But at the same time, I saw writing on the wall at 29. I saw that that's the limit of how much I can grow
Hmm.
being a sales guy for the company. So I ventured into entrepreneurship and started my own business.
Hmm.
And I've never looked back since. I've been building
Wow.
business and businesses. So this is it's a
Amazing.
long
To become an entrepreneur at 29 is very, very creditable. But tell me, Terence, what were some of the key challenges you faced in the early stages of your career, and how did you overcome them?
early stages. Well, when I was started at 29, there was no background. There's
Yeah,
nobody out there talking about what entrepreneurship really is about. So I was
correct.
I was hitting walls, like exactly, and every time I hit a wall, I go like, okay, what do I do next?
Mm,
There were many, many, many challenges, and all the things I've learned along the way were basically real life experiences.
mm,
And those real life experiences taught me what to do, and
mm,
most importantly, what not to do.
mm.
So what you see right now is accumulation of all my 30 years of entrepreneurship, building company,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So that's how IsWhere is being born, actually.
Mm. I agree. I agree. I mean, life teaches all of us some amazing lessons, and you seem to have lived life well and learned a lot. But my next question for you, Terence, is if you look back today, what turning point do you feel defined your path as a business leader?
It's hard to answer this kind of question. I won't say I'm a leader. I say
Mm,
I want to be. I'm still improving my business. Things I'm still learning along the way. But
mm,
I think the turning point is basically going out there as an entrepreneur and hitting the road.
mm,
There is no better way than to hit the road and then begin to learn. Oh, I didn't know there's a stop sign
yeah.
here. I didn't know there was a left sign
Mm,
here.
mm,
So
mm.
only when you start hitting the road, then you can begin to define what your eventual destination will be.
Yeah. Great response. Let's now talk about iswhere.com. And you got such an amazing name. The moment one reads the name, you know what you're supposed to be doing with the name, Iswhere. But can you explain what iswhere.com does and how it stands apart from other marketing platforms?
Well, to put it simply, I've been working on this web for 10 years.
Hmm.
When I first conceptualized this, is where it was designed to help the brick and mortar industry.
Hmm.
It came about when I was walking around Phuket, and I said, all these little shops out there, they need a voice. They
Hmm.
need a way they're going to communicate themselves. So I went around and said, is there a platform for the brick and mortar
Hmm.
industry? That was 10 years ago, believe you me not.
Yeah.
And when I first started looking at that, it's like, hold on, there's TripAdvisor, there's reviews, there's bookings and everything out there. There's Google Maps, but there is really no one platform that allows every single brick and mortar shop to go and make,
Hmm.
hey, here I am, and here's
Hmm.
my little product, and come to my business and let me help you solve some of your problems.
Hmm.
So Israel was started on the premise to help the brick and mortar industry, which actually
Hmm.
numbers in the range of about 400 million of them worldwide.
Hmm.
All right. So right now we're basically in blue ocean. We
Hmm.
have a platform that the world hasn't seen yet, and we are rolling that out in the marketplace as we speak.
Hmm. But tell me, how are you different from, say, a Google, where, if I go to Google today and I say, tell me about a restaurant near me, and it gives me five or six different options. How is iswhere.com different?
So IsWhere is basically a self-service marketing platform. So merchants can log on and create their own content, all right,
Mm-hmm.
and video, text, and promotions and everything out there.
Mm-hmm.
So to put it in context, we are basically like Google Maps
Mm-hmm.
plus
Okay.
Facebook. All right, that's a very simple way of saying who we are. All right,
Mm-hmm.
so we basically allow the merchants to create storytelling capabilities, and they do their own promotions. Google tells you where they are. We tell you why you want to go there.
Hmm.
There's a big difference between,
Yeah.
I know you're there, but so what? Why do I want to go there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where tells
Yeah.
you why you want to go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And my other question is, and I'm from the boomers generation, but when
Mm.
I see my children want to look for something, they first look for reviews. And the more reviews there are, the better the decision they take on where to go and shop or where to go and eat. Do you have something similar on iswhere.com as well?
Reviews to me are a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
All right. You have good reviews and you got bad reviews.
Hmm.
And the worst part that a merchant actually really worries about is a bad review because they
Correct.
can't do shit about it. And the industry, doesn't value reviews because from the industry point of view, because they can't do anything about it.
Hmm.
IsWhere has another way of managing it. We have, if you watch Netflix, you see the
Yeah.
likes, right? We have the like button. So you can see
Hmm.
how many merchants like, how many consumers like this particular merchant.
Okay.
So that's how you tell whether this is good or not,
Fascinating.
right? But the other
Fascinating.
thing is that it's a storytelling from the merchant that makes it exciting.
Hmm.
Why you want to go there? What, you have a new product? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
A review doesn't tell you have a new product. A
Hmm.
merchant promotion will tell you there's a new product.
Very interesting. Very interesting. You also describe IsWhere as the world's first service digital marketing platform for tourism boards and merchants. What makes this innovation unique? I mean, I've understood about shopkeepers, but now you've got tourism boards as well.
Well, we are actually launching now in 2 weeks' time at IFTM in Paris.
Hmm.
We have in 1 week gathered about 52 tourism boards who have said, "Oh my God, this thing really works."
Hmm.
They are joining our platform right now as we speak.
Wow.
So just to give you a context, today, if you look at the travel industry, the TripAdvisor or the review sites of the world has created a phenomenon.
Yeah.
The phenomenon is called top 10.
Hmm.
But if you really understand Italy, France, or any other locations, there is actually more than top 10.
Mm.
There is a lot of destinations,
Absolutely. Mm.
right? So IsWhere has a recommendations capability whereby the tourism boards can start creating, let me show you the untrodden places
Mm.
you never know,
Yeah.
authentic, interesting places that you never seen, all right,
Mm.
or places that you want to go. So we are able to move what we call over tourism. You have this phase called over tourism where you got people running around and congesting around
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Mm.
We cannot shift people to other places that go, I never knew Italy was like this. I never knew
Mm.
Singapore was like that. I never knew India was like this.
Mm.
All these hidden things that makes travel actually interesting to
Mm.
people. All right.
Mm.
So it's where it's actually designed for like tourism boards to create all those content so
Mm.
that people go, wow, okay, that's interesting. Makes me
Mm.
want to go there. All right.
Mm.
And when consumers go there, you bring up the local economy, things people travel, they eat, they party, they stay at hotels. All right.
How
So
amazing.
that's what makes us different, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Yesterday I was speaking to someone who's big in digital marketing on my podcast, and he gave me a very interesting data point, which shows that only 2% of people actually reach page two of a Google search. And there are thousands of such pages, which means beyond page two, you're not even relevant.
Yes.
You are making that difference for a lot of people. Is that right?
That's correct. I mean, it's where it transforms how you look at the world, look at
Mm.
places, look at stories. Like, why would I want to go there? All right,
Mm.
because it's now discoverable on a map base. So
Mm.
you can know that this is actually 1 kilometer away, 2 kilometers away, and oh,
Mm.
wow, you have a new
Amazing.
product. Yeah. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. I hope
What,
it's
what do you
available
call
in India.
Huh?
I hope it's available in India because I'm going to download the app immediately now.
The app actually is a global app. We're working with DMOs on a global basis.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. But I'll certainly tell a lot of friends. Moving on now, Terence, how does IsWhere empower small businesses and merchants to connect directly with consumers?
That's a very, very good question. Well, first of all, it's location based,
Hmm.
and it has recommendations, but by the DMOs.
Hmm.
So basically, the first thing that we do is that we allow the merchants we give them a voice.
Hmm.
They can register on our platform. It's totally free.
Hmm.
They can add their videos in, they can add content about what they do, etc. So they can put all those things in.
Hmm.
And, they are now discoverable. I think the word to is they can now be discovered, all right, in the same way that a hotel with $1 million budget,
Hmm.
right? The past will be spending to get discovered, and it's where it's now totally free.
Hmm.
So that changes the whole ball games how the brick and mortar markets themselves to the
Hmm.
world.
Very interesting. And you just told me that IsWhere is a global platform. I'd love to understand from you what are some of the biggest challenges of building a global digital platform?
Uh, technically, to build a global platform, you need a few billion dollars in marketing
Absolutely.
dollars. Otherwise, it
Absolutely.
will not work. The concept is sound. The question is, how do you get to roll out in the marketplace?
Hmm.
So, in the course of the past few months, actually, the first day that we started discussing, IsWhere is now rolling out together with partnerships with what we call tourism boards.
Hmm.
The tourism boards are actually our partners because they wanted consumers to understand more about their destinations. They are the one that brings merchants into our platform, and they are
Hmm.
the one also promoting IsWhere to the audience. All right, so we leverage on the marketing power of the tourism boards. We also leverage the marketing power of every single merchant. So every single merchant who comes on board our platform can
Hmm.
share on social media and say, "I'm now on IsWhere." You know why?
Wow.
It's free.
Hmm.
Tell you my story. Please distribute and so we become like a gigantic hot pot, all right, of
Hmm.
content
Yeah.
created by the merchants for the merchants to the consumers.
Hmm. Amazing.
Yeah.
How do you see consumer behavior evolving in terms of
Um,
an online to offline engagement?
we have done preliminary tests so far on the usability of our platform, and the results has been pretty encouraging. I
Hmm.
think people are sick and tired of telling me what to do, but they want to discover information.
Hmm.
IsWhere is a discovery platform. It may not be for everybody, but if you really want to find authentic experiences, what to do when you go to a place if you've never been there before, you
Hmm.
want to check out what's there, what's around you, and what interesting places. I think IsWhere solves that particular problem for travelers who want to explore more, get more out of the destination, get more out of your once in a year holiday. All right.
Hmm.
That is the problem that we solve for consumers.
Hmm. Wow. And how do you see this ubiquitous AI that seems to be pervading all our lives? How do you see AI shaping location-based marketing in the near future?
Well, actually, to be honest with you, AI is actually a fantastic empowering tool for IsWhere,
Hmm.
because we are actually adding AI in as what we call content and language translation capabilities.
Hmm.
So on our platform, you will find that very soon when we launch next year in 2026, a big
Hmm.
wave. All right. The content from every merchant will now be automatically translated into different languages,
Hmm.
from text, graphics to video, even video connection would now be AI
Hmm.
powered or AI enabled. So
Hmm.
it will actually make the world in one simple, easy to use format. When you
Hmm.
travel anywhere, you can go to Japan now and go
Yeah.
like, I don't know what you're saying, but now it's fair. Now it's
Hmm.
very,
Hmm.
very apparent.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
can go to India now. You're probably in India, but
Yeah.
now it
Yeah.
will be in English or Chinese or Japanese. Anybody can now use this platform. So that will be
Hmm.
coming up in next year. Yeah.
Hmm. Amazing. But to build a platform like this, one side is your technology, but one side are your databases.
Yeah.
How do you ensure that, your databases are completely protected?
Well, we are working with, you're talking about database protection. We're working with cloud providers who does that. I mean,
Who do
Huawei
that?
right now, one of our cloud
Hmm.
providers,
Hmm.
they have a lot of security features, everything been able to put in.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
pretty secure.
But wonderful. But a follow-up question for you, Terence. What role does data and analytics play to increase the effectiveness of IsWare?
That is actually something very powerful for the merchants and the DMOs. I mean, when fully deployed, is where data analytics capabilities will help the tourism industry understand more about where people are going, what
Mm,
they're looking for in different countries, and so they can sort of now plan, all right, how to build their tourism infrastructure to make themselves
mm,
better. Merchants will now say, if I want to set up a business in this area,
mm,
am I being over competed
mhm,
with, or do I need to start looking at a new product range, and start launching everything? All right.
mm,
So the world will be actually more streamlined once the IsWhere system goes out and analytics comes back in to help, merchants and the tourism boards to fine-tune their business model.
mm. Wow. As someone who has been an entrepreneur in this part of technology for the last 3 decades, what trends in digital marketing excite you the most today?
Actually, trends. Oh, I hope I'm setting a new trend, by the way.
Okay, I'm sure
I
you are.
hope I'm doing that. But I think AI is a big enabler. That's one
Mm,
thing. That's the big trend. The other thing is that the trend for the past 20 years of SEO is gone. All right.
yeah.
The many of the marketers today are looking and scratching their heads like, well, the way I used to get traffic was to pump money into the system.
Mm,
Now the way I get value is it's no longer pumping money, it's about content. All right. How
mm,
to get content in so that consumers will begin getting engagement.
yeah.
And that to me will be actually the new way of marketing. It's actually really back down to core content value versus let me push for eyeballs and eyeballs and eyeballs and eyeballs.
Mm, mm.
I think that's a
Amazing.
big shift in the marketing right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Terence, I have time for two more questions for you.
Sure.
Can you share an example where IsWhere.com directly improved outcomes for a merchant or a tourism board? And I don't want any names, of course.
We have tested it in a few locations in Thailand. Actually, in Singapore, we actually did some tests and everything before. Our traffic does increase. All right. Their visibility has gone up a lot. All right. And
Mm,
now every time they roll out a product in the marketplace, they see sales and traction. People actually walking into the door. And
mm,
for many brick and mortar merchants, I think the big issue is that all they have right now is a storefront.
mm,
And if you're at a corner of the road and nobody knows you exist, but if they don't walk in front of you, you are actually invisible. Uh,
mm,
when you come into it's where you're now visible.
mm,
Okay, so we have tested the concept. It works on a small scale, all right. But just the difference right now is that we're rolling out on the global scale right now. So
mm. Wow. And my last question for you. Um, what has been the most surprising use case that you have seen of iswhere.com?
well, actually, there was a project that we started a while ago
Mm-hmm.
that actually shocked me. I mean, we didn't really roll out the project because of the pandemic. It was a project called the Digital Temple.
Mm-hmm.
You got time for a little bit of story. I'll share a bit more story about this.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so Digital Temple was a project that we wanted to launch in Thailand. One of our partners in Thailand, we were talking to them for was like, what is the one application that every Thai people would want to use? All right. And the answer was, well, everybody goes to temples.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to the Temple Association and we said, why don't we bring the temples onto our platform? What do you think? The Temple Association said, you know what, Terence, that is a great idea. We run events every weekend on our temples and people do not know we actually exist. I said, oh, really? Well, at this event, we're helping Chiang Mai flooding and everything else. And we said, okay, why? Well, now your platform does it. We want to bring those events back into your platform.
Mm-hmm.
My answer was, okay, great. So how many temples do you have to digitize? They said, well, it's about 42,000 temples. That blew me off.
Mm-hmm.
Next question, they came back to me and said, Terence, can you do online donations? I said, sure, I'm happy to help you do online donations. So how much donations are you looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll say we collected about 6 billion US dollars a year.
Wow.
I was
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa, what? You want me to help you collect 6 billion online? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we actually signed a deal for that, and then we were trying to roll it out, but the pandemic came and everything went the other way. All right. Well, but that was a eye opener for me, if you ask me. In
Yeah.
all my projects, I never knew there was 42,000 temples in Thailand, and
Mm.
people donate $6 billion equivalent in
Yeah.
donations on a year
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty incredible.
Absolutely. Wow. What an amazing story. But on that note, Terence, I just want to say what a fascinating conversation this has been with you. you know, to actually talk to someone who's created such a big and powerful global platform, which is empowering small businesses, which is empowering tourism boards, and where I really believe that the opportunity is something which is really limited by your imagination. Anybody who wants to find what is where is a part of iswhere.com. Thank you again for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you very much for your time, man.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.